Hi there. Welcome to another edition of Talk Stocks. I'm your host, Kerem, and today we're lucky enough to have Kerem Usenmez, President and CEO of Volta Metals. Volta trades on the CSE with the ticker VLTA. Hey, Kerem, how you doing today?
Good, Kier. Thanks for having me. How are you doing?
I'm excellent. We've been in a pretty rambunctious, metals sort of market. Finally, we're getting our time. Maybe AI is not super disruptive to the ability to get, metals out of the ground. So we're having our time here. It's been a very good couple of years. But I've been watching Volta. I'm a shareholder. Picked up some shares recently. One of your members of your team, who I've known for years, has been doing a very good job and staying on me. And you guys, wow, you guys have really been delivering. So this is a first look. We're going to do kind of a top to bottom sort of overview on the company. So maybe we could kind of start with a bit about you. Who are you? What's your background?
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm a geological engineer. Actually, I grew up in Turkey. I studied there. I did my master's there. I worked there about 6.5 years starting mining there, juniors and multinationals in exploration before emigrating to Canada at the beginning of 2006. So this week is my 20-year anniversary. So thank you. I came with no contacts, knowing nobody. Actually went straight, my third day, I think I was in Canada. I went to PDAC as my first time. That year they hit 10,000. Now, obviously, it's 3 times. Funny enough, it was good times, 2006. I got lots of job offers and I picked Inco. So I went up and worked with Inco in Manitoba. I started in geology there, geology, mine geology, but I was in charge of rock mechanics. That's my background in my master's. And I was doing PhD in Turkey that I had to drop. But that's my technical specialty, rock mechanics and ground support, structural geology, that type of things. After that, I did a bit of consulting across Canada, many projects. In fact, one of them was rare earth in Quebec, northern Quebec, Strange Lake. I worked there for a bit. And international as well. Ran a drilling company. After that, started in Canada, expanded into the Latin America. Started a bit company after that. We sold it to an American company. They're doing very well right now. And then ran another junior exploration company, went into development. We did IBA and feasibility study. It was zinc and copper mine, again in Canada. And then this opportunity came. Like, we started this company about just over 3 years ago. Less than 3 years ago, we went public. So when we started it, we put our own money. Nobody got paid until we were public. We assembled a really good project. It was lithium we started it with, and we were coming up with discoveries. It was really good. So we still have those projects, and we expanded our footprint there. We have a lot more of that potential. When we started the company, one of our main pillars for the company was find obviously good projects, but find projects with road access. That's where I think having good team, good board members, and the good partners in the business really matters. Everyone in the company are more experienced than I am in this, building companies, getting them into production and stuff. So we all understand what are important when you get to that stage. So that's where we started right from the get-go, really important stuff when we vended into the company. So that's been one of the pillars. But since then, like you mentioned, we progressed a lot. This opportunity came and we acquired this rare earth project in June. I can get more into detail, but if you have questions, otherwise I can keep talking.
Yeah, well, you're on a good flow, so I don't really want to interrupt. But why don't you give us a bit of a...
Yeah.
Why don't you talk a bit more about the Springer Rare Earth Project? Where is it located? What are you going after? Light rare earths, heavy rare earths? Maybe you could give us a little bit of an education on why we should care about rare earths as an investor. And
there's so much to uncover there. So Springer Rare Earth Project is a more advanced project than what we had before, meaning it had when we acquired it had a resource calculation. They drilled it enough and did a resource 43101 back in 2012. Right after that, no other work was done because market changed, it changed hands. But since 2012 until we acquired it, there was no work done. When they did the resource starts on surface. Mineralization remains open on all directions. Every borehole hit mineralization, ended in mineralization. That's what caught our eye. The upside potential we saw, it was big. I'm going to get to light rare earth, heavy rare earth. It's a bit more detailed, so I'll get to that point. But before getting on to that is the location is unbelievable. Like really, it cannot get any better than this. Why? It's 1 hour, less than an hour, 50-minute drive from the last Tim Hortons in Sudbury, okay? Through Trans-Canada Highway, right? You leave, you get your coffee. If it's an extra large, you might make it until you get to the, depends on how many donuts you have.
Sounds like you've done it a few times. Yeah.
Look, we have a geologist live there. She goes back and forth. Like you can commute. That's how easy it is, right? So you drive through Sturgeon Falls. And then from Sturgeon Falls, it's 6 to 8 kilometers, depending on, whether you're leaving Domino's, or Tim Hortons. And so really, like it's through, and we have a paved road right to the property, to the deposit. We have power lines going through it because there's 2 hydropower dams just outside of our claims. And obviously there's Trans-Canada Highway going through Sturgeon Falls and the railway station, mineralization on surface, and there's patented land, meaning you don't need exploration permit to drill, etc., over the deposit. So we saw the upside potential. Location is unbelievable. Mineralization on surface. Now, what else is needed? You need local support. You need the First Nations. So we did that right from the first day. We have an agreement, very, very respectful, very good relationship. They're very supportive. We constantly communicate. It's really, really nice. And apart from that, one of the main things for rare earth deposits is, can you actually recover it? Most of the times, of course, you can recover it. At what cost? At what environmental cost and what economic cost? Those are the main things. So when we did a thorough due diligence. We did met work, actually. We wanted to understand, SGS did liberation tests and so forth. So it came back a little bit better than we expected. The reason is this is not a monazite. Okay, I was looking for a bastnasite for relatively easier processing capabilities. Those are minerals that host the rare earths. So I was looking for bastnasite hosted rare earth deposits in Ontario with all the pillars I mentioned that it needed to fit. We came across this through our advisor, Dr. Fred Briggs. And I looked at it, we discussed, and then the network obviously came positive. It is hosted in predominantly synchysite, which is calcium-rich bastnasite. So what does that do? That pushes away the radioactivity. So there's no radioactivity in the rocks. That's very, very unusual for a rare earth project, but it makes everything else easier, including the processing, including the permitting, because otherwise you need, even for transportation, you need a permit. We don't need to have that. There is no zero uranium, negligible levels of thorium, way below the threshold limits for anything. So it's going to be no deterrence to the environment in that sense and make it easier for recoveries. Now, how easy? How much are we going to recover? We started that process back in October. I expect that study to be finalized and the results in March. Let's be safe. The second half of March, I will have that result. Now we updated the resource. We're going to have that also. Not only we know the in situ, but how much is this going to be actually recovered? I'm going to have that answer in less than a month.
You come at things from an engineering point of view, so I would imagine that's the engineer in you looking to figure out, well, how could we actually liberate these things from the rocks? So that's a good way to look at it. And that seems, again, I've invested in a couple of different cycles sort of in rare earths. It's become pretty topical again with what's kind of going on as sort of individual countries and nations start to think about stockpiling. valuable materials so they can make stuff and be able to win the war on AI and win on technology. We seem to have a multipolar world sort of being established here, and you can't necessarily rely upon other partners and other countries all the time for supply chains and things like that. So it's become very topical again. And kind of the thing that I've always learned is that, one rare earth deposit is not like another, and that you do have to learn about what the processing sort of looks like. Sounds like you're going to answer some of those questions for us, and you've gone and done that pretty early, which is good to do, rather than waiting until rather than having it be something you do at the end. It's probably good to know at the beginning before you go plunk tons of money and lots of time and energy into something. So great. So that's fantastic. Now, you guys came out recently with an MRE, with a mineral resource estimate. I read it, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do a first look and have you on. I sort of almost fell out of my chair. It was quite a bit bigger than I was expecting. Maybe you could walk us through it. What did you announce there last week?
Yeah, so absolutely. It happened to me as well. I was falling off my chair as well when I saw that, because we weren't expecting it to be that bigger. We knew the shape was changing, because what happened was we acquired it because it's on a patented ground. Our relationship, everything is ready to go with the First Nations. So let's drill. So we went out and drilled, right? So what we did was, previously they only drilled, give or take, about 200 meters vertical depth. So I was, going to test a little bit beyond that and see how far it was going to go. We ended up drilling twice as much for every borehole, because we were still in mineralization. I'm like, keep going. And then we ran out of rods. Drilled 465 meters borehole. They couldn't drill more. Because we told the drillers, we're only going to drill maximum 400 meters. Bring 400. They brought a little bit. You always do, as I ran a drilling company before. So yeah, that's what happened. So we knew it was going to be bigger. And what happened was that borehole and others as well came back with completely mineralized from top to bottom, 465 meters, right at the bottom as well, high grade. So we still know that it is going to be bigger than what we just announced. So that completely changed the shape and the mineralization. So now we have two zones, very high grade in the center, right at surface, along with lower grade around it. Now, when we talk about rare earths, thank you. You mentioned that every rare earth project is different as well. The reason, possibly one of the reasons, is because there's 17 rare earth elements in the periodic table, right? Based on your proportions, which ones you have, which ones you don't. How do you process them? They're all different. They act different. They're different physical and chemical properties. With this, they only valued the consultants only valued the four big four, I call them, 2 lights and 2 heavies, that they said, these are going to be your main payables. So let's base it on those. So that's what's based it on, the payables. We have those big four: neodymium, praseodymium, terbium, and dysprosium. So 2 heavies, 2 lights. Now, we were talking early days about this exact same comparison, but you can think rare earth deposit on a carbonatite like we have, similar to a porphyry deposit, right? So it's more disseminated throughout the rock. Why am I saying that? Because it's important for an open pit. Your strip ratio is very important. Strip ratio tells you how much waste you're going to have versus the mineralized zone every time you put the bucket. You want something below 3. Ours is 1.5, the strip ratio. So
great.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, as soon as we hit the shovel, we know we're going to make money, right? So that's really what is exciting about that as well. So,
and just a couple of questions. So, how much bigger was this resource estimate over the historic one that I guess you guys had and had upgraded?
Yeah, so previously it was about 17 million tons. We now have over 170 million tons, so just over 10 times. 10 times. And it is still open. Remember, it's going to get bigger than that.
Yeah, well, that's why I kind of fell off my chair, because sometimes when companies say, oh yeah, our resource, we've done a lot of work. We think it's going to be bigger. You're looking at maybe a 25, 30, 40% sort of increase. A 10x increase, yeah, that's eye popping. That's great. The certainly, certainly very impressive. Now, globally, again, all rare earth deposits aren't the same because you got 17 different elements, and they're all a little different. It's not like just having a gold deposit. Globally, how significant is the size of this deposit? How big does something sort of have to be before you would start like attracting people's attention who would be thinking that this might actually be like a development stage asset?
Yeah. Instead of global, what we did was we looked at North America because that's what we're racing here. North America, Western world in general, we need to have these critical elements and the supply chain here. We have them, like Canada is a resource country. We looked at all the rare earth projects in North America. There's 20 of them that have resource. Okay. Some reserves, but resource. Some 43-101, let's call it. Right. When we acquired it, this project was ranking around 13. I was hoping, or I was confident that we were going to crack into the top 10 with this resource estimate after drilling twice as much as we planned for. While I was putting the news release together, I'm like, where do we rank? 9? Are we 10? Like, come on, let's go. We rank 7 as it is in terms of tons. Like, you really need the tons, especially if it's on surface with high grade core, like it's golden. And there is still upside potential. We haven't hit the end of it in any direction.
I was going to ask, so it remains open in all directions still then?
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
That's impressive. And how much additional drilling did you do in order to get that 10x lift in resource? How many meters?
Because it's on surface, because we didn't need to drill much, we drilled about 1,700 meters, give or take, for 4 boreholes. But we just started another drill program. The new program we are drilling currently, is going to be around 6,000 meters, about probably 18, maybe more. We'll see how it goes. We say that, maybe end up more. We're drilling with 2 drills at the moment, and those results should start coming mid-March onwards as well.
Excellent. And in terms of, is this a project you can work on year-round?
Yes, absolutely. The road right to the deposit is maintained by the municipality, so that's a good thing. Obviously, we have a little bit of trail to the drill site, but you can reach anytime. And
excellent. Yeah. And in terms of your turnaround time, sounds like you have fairly fast turnaround time with the lab.
I wouldn't call it fast, to be honest. I was hoping faster. It's never fast, really. So we started in January, but we didn't submit obviously until mid-February, or second week of February. We are going to probably start getting mid-March onwards, depending on when we get the entire program. Right now, it probably is going to last our drilling until April. Let's see if we go into April. So that will come in probably May, June. So we need all these results before we can update it again. Instead of updating it again in the summer, what we are doing is we are going to do a technical study, PEA, with that information. Why? Because we have everything else. We're going to have the metallurgical work mapped out. It's a beneficiation, so we're going to have actually more advanced metallurgical results by then. So we're going to have that. We're doing baseline studies that I already started that last year. Once we started seeing the potential of this, we said, this is going to be a mine. So I wanted to get ahead of permitting to production. So we started that. It saved us at least a year. We're ahead of the schedule. So we're going to have all the environmental studies as well. So PEA is going to be, we're going to have all the data to do that. Depending on when the lab provides the last assay to us, that's going to determine the PEA's schedule.
Excellent. So you got a pretty busy 2026. Sounds like you've got 2 drill rigs turning. You guys are going to do maybe 3.5 times more drilling than you've done previously yourselves on the project. You're looking to further update a resource calculation, if I'm not mistaken, if I heard that correctly. And you've got a PEA that you're going to do. In the background, you guys have been thinking about all the things that you need to start measuring and collecting and reporting on for permitting. Again, sounds like the engineer in you, somebody who's worked with an actual mining company before and not just an explorer constantly looking for things, but someone who's pretty serious about what they do. So that stuff. So have I got that right? That's kind of what you've got for 2026.
That's exactly. Yeah, we are going really fast on these milestones because we can, because of this project. It keeps delivering. It's easy access, cheap production and discovery costs. So why not? Let's go.
And in terms of, you said you're now 7th sort of in North America in terms of size, total tonnage. Your MRE, could you break that down between, is that inferred? Is it inferred with some measured and indicated? What's the categories of your resource?
Yeah. So, sorry, did I lose you? Sorry for that. What? I don't know.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I clicked the wrong thing. Sorry. We'll edit that.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay, I'll ask you again.
Okay.
Your MRE that you just recently announced, what categories of resource is that? All inferred? Is it inferred, measured, indicated? Could you give us a breakdown of the different categories that resource that you just announced comprises of?
Yeah, it's indicated and inferred. So we have, at this point, it's 57 million tons of indicated and 120 million tons of inferred. With 0.7 to 0.6% total rare earth oxide. But I don't like to measure things with the total rare earth oxide percentages because what's in it? That's what matters. You look at like 10 Breeze is 0.3%. I mean, is it worse than us? No. I mean, you know what I mean? It's what's in it. That's what matters.
Sure. And so your big four payables, as you mentioned, those would all have varying values, right? These different critical rare earth elements, they would have different values per ton, per kilo sort of deal.
Absolutely. That's actually a very good point because they are the high value ones and the prices keep going up because of all the separation from east to west. One of the things I want to mention is the reason why they stopped working on this was because the downturn in rare earths prices, right? Back in the day, when I worked at Strange Lake, it was good times, 2010, 2011. And after that, like 2014, 15, actually MP Materials went bankrupt, right? MP, that yes. Deposit. So why are we confident this time around that China can still manipulate the prices? Yes, they can. Why are we confident? Because Western governments are realizing its importance of these minerals to have because China kept going, that we need to have that. How are they doing that? The base floor pricing. Current prices are above the base floor pricing that US and Australia are doing. I think that is the policy that's going to make the investments more longer term, and governments are going to somehow keep supporting the investment landscape in that sense. That's why I think, advancing this project is extremely important for us.
In terms of, let's go over sort of valuation and cap structure. What's the approximate market cap today of the company?
We are, it's ranging, but it's around $23 million Canadian. We have 115 million shares outstanding, and the insiders own 24%.
Okay. And in terms of looking at those 6 other companies that are ahead of you, are most of those publicly traded companies as well, or is that a mix of private and public?
It is a mix. Well, there's one, I think, private that's ahead of us, the one that I mentioned, but the rest are public. Yeah, some of them are not doing much. I don't know if there is a metallurgical stuff, but So that's, I think we are advancing really fast compared to some of them.
And would some of those companies have a higher valuation than you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, we just acquired this. It hasn't even been a year. Look what we've accomplished. It's been 6 months or so plus. And in the next 6 months, we're going to also do really big milestone achievements. What I'm trying to say is that we're just getting the word out. People don't know much about us. So the marketing side of things is ramping up as we ramp up the activities as well.
Well, I saw you guys at the Michael Gentile conference that was hosted recently in Vancouver. You guys were one of the presenting companies. I managed to get a meeting with Steve and Mark Cruz, and I walked away, and that was a pretty busy day. I'm sure you guys are really tired after pitching your hearts out. I don't know, depending on how many sessions you did, it was like 16 to like 30 meetings. So, but you guys were the thing that was most memorable, stuck in my head. I was like, wow, this seems like tremendous value, even just based upon the information that I knew then, and that was when you had a much smaller, resource. You've since gone and 10x'd it, and your share price hasn't 10x'd since then. It's up a bit, but you're not up there. So certainly, I would say that maybe there's a little bit of an awareness, and maybe it's kind of surprised people. And again, maybe lack of knowledge of like how to compare rare earths and how critically important they are. Has your phone? You might not be able to answer the question, but I'm going to answer. I'm going to ask it anyways, and people probably want to know. Have you starting to hear from groups that maybe have government connections or are looking to be strategic in trying to source and build sort of strategic stockpiles and supply chains of these? Are you starting to hear from different groups? Can you comment at all on that?
Not really, I can't. But look, things are, I think, gonna happen if there's value added.
Sure.
And it depends who the strategic partner is. There's obviously the financial, positive things that they might bring, but also the name and the other capabilities. I think this is going to be a mine, whether it's going to be us operating it or a partner or together. I don't know. With respect to government, yes, we are in their radar, both US and Canada. They are receiving our information. They are watching us closely. We are in communications, but for their, as you might know, like governments, they don't like risk for that kind of stuff because they've not done this in the Western world, government getting involved. But I think as we de-risk this, there's a potential for that for sure.
Excellent. And so you went over a little bit of the cap structure. How's this company kind of been financed? What was sort of the last financing structure? Was it through like a private placement? Was it sort of a life offering? What types of investors have generally like financed and funded the company since you took it public?
Absolutely. So look, nobody in the company, the insiders, never got a cheap paper. We started as 10 cents. We went public at 10 cents, and we had a really tight structure since then. And we have very good shareholders that have been supporting this progress. And we put our own money in every financing. So we've always done relatively smaller raises until the end of last year, where we did a $2.8 million raise at 23 cents. With no warrants. When we did that, that is actually allowing us to do all these good work as we are doing it right now. So we're fully funded for all these activities that I mentioned. We have about $3 million in the bank. Well, it might change next week because it's the end of the month, but not much. You know what I mean? So we are funded for these activities. And that's what's been happening. It's all high net worth and retail. We don't have any institutional shareholders. Yeah, that's we're fortunate enough for that. And we haven't done a live offering yet. I don't know. It seems to be more common these days.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think accredited investors like the fact that they can choose when they might want to sell. Also, with just some of the valuations and the charts on some of these things, not necessarily rare earths, but some of these other sort of commodities, you don't necessarily know when the music's going to sort of stop, or maybe some of these prices will come down. They've moved up fairly quickly. I don't think if you ask a gold investor or silver investor, that they necessarily would have thought those commodities would be trading where they are today. Sure, they thought that they'd be trading there, but maybe it would take a little bit more time. So those things. But I'll tell you, doing a no warrant offering with a hold period, that's sort of a good testament to you guys. As of the date of this recording, I think you're trading around 22, 23 cents. So in and around the same price as your financing. And you've been able to deliver a 10x sized resource. And it's not just all inferred. You've got a decent chunk of that resource being on the indicated category. So that's great. Just to reiterate again, This has been sort of a very good sort of top to bottom sort of overview of the company. I wanted to cover a couple of other things. You mentioned you got a great team. Are there a few other members of the team that you might want to sort of talk about or mention?
Absolutely. Where do I start? Everybody brings really good value. I mean, the board is incredible. They bring in really, really valuable stuff to the table. I have Mark Cruz, whom I started the company together with. He built multiple times billion-dollar companies from 2 million market cap to operating mines. Fantastic geologist as well with PhD. I have Mike Hoffman, mining engineer. Again, he did maybe more than Mark and I, but he's built mines. So I'm more talking to him these days. So he brings a lot. And Saga, involved in all First Nations across Canada. She's Indigenous herself as well. So she's very involved with all the chiefs and the communities. So she brings really, really good communication to the company. And I have obviously Steve, the IR. But on the technical team, we have Dr. Fred Brakes, who worked for Ontario Geological Survey for 29 years. And his mandate, his role, he has PhD as well, his role was find Ontario's potential for lithium and rare earths. So you can't get any better than that. He knows everywhere where to look for. So we've discovered a couple of deposits, and Julie Salve just also joined us. She has PhD as well. So very good technical team. But I also have another advisor on the metallurgical side, Alistair Neil. He's a metallurgical expert. That's all he did for his life for rare earths, and built Asia's first 2 separators.
Sounds like you got a very well-rounded team there. I got a lot of time for Steve, and Mark's a genius as well. Mark did a very good job of standing in and in the presentation that I did with you guys in Vancouver. He's very excited about it. He's a serious guy, so that was another check on the box for me. So good stuff. Thanks for talking about the team. Maybe we could just reiterate a little bit more once again in a bit of a summary, some of the catalysts again for people that are watching at this point.
Yeah. So there will be a met work, and we're going to have drill results coming out through June. After that, technical study PEA. One thing we didn't talk about is the gallium.
I see it on your banner behind you.
Right.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So when we were doing due diligence, I was going through the drill hole data and the assays. Yes, there was good high grade, very good high value premium magnet rare earths, but I realized there's gallium. High grade gallium, really thick intercepts. About half of the boreholes did that. 60, 80, 90 meter, 100 meter. I'm like, how come this wasn't in the resource? And then I looked at the price. It was not good price, so nobody cared about gallium at the time. But when you look at gallium and put restrictions, you can't get it out. They're used in AI semiconductors massively right now because of its faster response and more efficiency, gallium nitrate chips as opposed to silicon chips. So gallium is extremely important, and obviously it's a very small market because it's a byproduct of aluminum and zinc smelting normally. So why do we have it? So we looked into that, and we just announced a couple of weeks ago first results, and we've had the thickest, highest grade gallium, one of in the world, So what we're looking at here is very special with a gallium add-on. So I'm expecting to have a gallium resource, standalone gallium resource, on top of the rare earth resource we have when we do the second update on the PEA. So that
gallium is not a rare earth; it's a critical metal. I think China had some restrictions went on in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. I think the price is up 600-700% since then. So certainly a lot higher. What would be some of the uses for some of your rare earth? You got the big 4 you mentioned, too heavy, too light, and then gallium. Why don't you start with gallium? What's gallium typically used for?
Yeah, gallium is also in most places where rare earths go, like, your laser screens, touch screens, etc. But lately it's been going into the semiconductors. That's where the bulk of its use and the need rised. It's making it more efficient, more faster, because when you Google gallium's melting point, it's 30 degrees. It actually melts in your hands. It can melt in your hands. Not in the winter, but in the summer it will.
Yeah, it looks a little bit like almost like mercury, right?
That's right. That's exactly. Yeah. So it's a very niche element, but it's extremely important. Yeah, like all where rare earths go, it goes as well, but plus the semiconductors, that's where the bulk of it is right now.
Excellent. And then so the rare earths as well, those are used in like semiconductors and things like that. Any other places that they're in electronics and things like that, different technology applications?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why are cell phones not heating up? That's rare earths. Rare earth, the big four are going into premium magnets. Premium magnets make everything more precise. Your car seat, not electric cars. Of course, electric cars use a lot because of the the engine part. But even when you adjust your car seat, remember rare earths making it possible. Your radio, everything like that. Where it's being used lately is the drones and the defense systems, make it more precise, etc. But also healthcare, all the MRI machines to anything, you name it. It's everything that we see getting more efficient because of rare earths and the premium magnets that are being used.
Excellent. Well, that sounds like you got a very action-packed year. Lots of good catalysts. Lots of really advancing the company forward. Sounds like you still have some more exploration upside potential. You cover kind of like anticipated strip rates and things like that. I know it's fairly early, but you've covered some things like that. So it sounds like from the strip ratio, this is like pretty much like right at surface. And you've drilled this thing down, and the only reason why is it was the limitation on how much drill casing and how much rod they had.
That's exactly. Yeah.
Well, that sounds great. Well, Kerem, I really appreciate your time. Is there any last thoughts you want to leave us with?
Look, this is probably going to be the first rare earth mine that goes into production. Even though we don't have feasibility study, as opposed to some other projects, we really have good projects in Canada, but they're remote. They need roads. They need this. They need that. This one has everything, and it's in the biggest mining camp in Canada, maybe in the world, Sudbury region, right? You have all kinds of talents there, right there. So I think it's an exciting project. And if we can demonstrate the recoverability, including the gallium, we have something very special for Western world here.
Well, excellent. Well, we're going to throw it into our core portfolio of Talk Stocks. We're a shareholder, but we're going to look to follow you guys over the next 12 months. Look to catch up with you again in a few months' time when you get some more data and some drill results out. It sounds like a very exciting story, and one that, if people are looking for value and they complain that all these stocks have sort of like moved up, well, here you are sitting with a fairly, you're sitting with a 25 million market cap company that's starting to work on permitting, environmental, and has 2 drill rigs turning. With a project that, like you said, is in one of the mining capitals of Canada, if not the world's. So it sounds like fantastic value here from my perspective, and that's why I'm a shareholder. Kerem, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed our conversation.